Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled, It's Easier to Be the Victim for Most People. If you start to really observe and listen to the way people talk when they face challenges, especially challenges they could change but choose not to, you might notice something interesting. Often, people seem to embrace the role of the victim. When someone sees themselves as the victim, they don't have to take responsibility for their actions or decisions. They can point to external circumstances or other people as the reason for their difficulties, allowing them to avoid the uncomfortable work of self-reflection and change. Being a victim can feel like a safe, passive role to play. If you go through life believing that you're constantly being wronged or that you've been unfairly treated, you never really have to face the possibility that you might need to do things differently. Admitting that you could do better or that changes are necessary requires effort, introspection, and sometimes a painful acknowledgement of personal shortcomings. But playing the victim allows you to sidestep all of that. It's easier, it requires less energy, and it lets you avoid confronting the hard truths about your own choices. This isn't to say that there aren't real victims in the world. There are, without question, situations that make people genuine victims, and they have every right to see themselves as such. For instance, someone who has experienced sexual assault or abuse is undeniably a victim in a profound and legitimate sense. Acknowledging victimhood in such cases is valid and necessary for healing and justice. But there's a big difference between being a true victim of something beyond your control and adopting a victim mindset in situations where change is possible. The issue arises when people take on a victim mindset in circumstances they can alter, like being addicted to soda, fast food, or cigarettes. These are habits and choices that, while difficult to break, are not insurmountable. However, it's far easier to frame these struggles as something happening to you rather than something you're perpetuating. This mindset allows people to avoid accountability, as it lets them off the hook. They don't have to acknowledge that they're capable of making different choices or putting in the effort to improve their lives. Change is hard. It demands energy, persistence, and a willingness to step into discomfort. For many, the thought of confronting their addictions or bad habits feels overwhelming. It's not just the physical effort, but the emotional toll of admitting that they've been contributing to their own difficulties. In contrast, staying in a state of misery or addiction offers a strange sort of comfort. It's familiar, predictable, and doesn't require the upheaval that change often brings. People also tend to bond over shared misery. There's a certain appeal in complaining about how hard things are or how unfair life has been, as it can create a sense of connection with others. When everyone around you reinforces your victim narrative, it becomes even easier to stay in that mindset. It feels validating to have your struggles acknowledged, even if it doesn't actually help you move forward. This isn't to minimize how challenging it can be to break free from these patterns. Addictions, for example, have powerful physical and psychological grips. But recognizing the difference between true victimhood and a victim mindset is crucial. True victimhood often comes from external forces beyond your control, while a victim mindset arises when you avoid taking control of what you can change. The problem with staying in this mindset is that it limits your potential. When you see yourself as a victim, you rob yourself of agency and power. You tell yourself that you're stuck because of circumstances, not because of your choices. This can lead to a self-fulfilling cycle, where the more you view yourself as powerless, the less likely you are to take steps to improve your situation. Shifting out of this mindset doesn't happen overnight. It requires a willingness to be honest with yourself and a readiness to embrace discomfort. It's about looking at your life and asking, what can I do differently? Rather than focusing on what's been done to you. It's not easy, but the rewards of taking responsibility and making changes can be life-altering. Of course, this doesn't mean you have to blame yourself for everything. There's a balance to be struck between acknowledging the things outside your control and taking ownership of what you can change. Compassion for yourself and others is key in this process, but so is accountability. Growth happens when you're willing to challenge your patterns, and take steps towards something better. Ultimately, staying in a victim mindset might feel easier in the short term, but it comes at the cost of long-term growth and fulfillment. Choosing to take responsibility for your life and your choices is harder, but it opens the door to real change and a sense of empowerment. It's about reclaiming your power and deciding that, even in the face of difficulty, you have the ability to move forward. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moors October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.